Hello, Gophers. You're listening to Go Podcast. I'm Dominic St-Pierre.
And I am Morten.
I was listening to our last episode and I'm starting to wonder if I should start to only say my first name now that you are saying your first name. So,
I mean, it's a very... even Danish people have trouble pronouncing my last name, so I always just do Morten. It's Morten Vistisen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, but that was funny the other day. I was thinking. So if you are not on the Go Podcast on Slack, I keep saying that, but if you want to join, we are trying to build something there. Could be nice. So if you are on the Slack community, the Gophers Slack community, it would be nice to see you there.
And you also don't need any facial or governmental IDs to keep chatting there, like you do with Discord soon. I don't know if you saw that.
Well, unfortunately, I tried to go to Discord the other day. I think it was before Christmas. I started to do a lot of Gleam in October, November last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they are on Discord. I was having a Discord server myself when I was actively developing StaticBackend early 2020 and things like that. Imagine that I'm not able to return to Discord anymore. And because of accessibility reason. The craziest thing is they have this CAPTCHA. And normally when you're blind and you do CAPTCHA, you can opt in to have an audio CAPTCHA. This is the only way for me because obviously I cannot tell which of those images are X and things like that. And their accessible CAPTCHA is just terrible because it asks you to reverse a word or something like that. But the word isn't, I think it's an image that they are using, which, is crazy. I'm just unable to pass the CAPTCHA.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, you know what? Screw that. Discord is out limit for me. But yeah, I was not aware that they were going to require that amount of things. This is crazy.
Yeah, I didn't read. So like everything, I just read some Hacker News listings, right? But yeah, it seems like they're gonna be starting. I think it's from March to require IDs at least.
Like what, a driver license or when you say government IDs, this is like, are we talking about social security number and whatnot? This is crazy.
I think maybe I need to pull it up right now, but maybe it's biometrical data they were requiring. Say Discord, bio data verification.
So there will be like a face recognition of yourself and things like that?
Yeah, let me just see here. So to access
to be scary.
Yeah, you need to verify your age, right? So that is to access age-restricted servers, unblurred sensitive media, direct speech. Yeah, facial age estimation video, selfie, or government ID.
Yeah, it might be because of the Australia adopting this law a couple of months ago where, I don't know, like under 14... they cannot access social networks and whatnot. Maybe that's that. I don't know.
Might be. But they also, they did have a breach, right?
Of course.
In 2025, they had an incident where they leaked, what was it? 70,000 user IDs. So, I have my little community for my little framework on Discord, and I'm not gonna show my governmental ID or do any face stuff with with Discord. I don't know. Yeah,
it's I don't know what to think about that, to be frank. It's a lot to ask to be honest. Wow. And again, you need to trust them. It's not only to show that to a computer software. It's also knowingly knows that there's an entity that will now own this thing, and like you said, anything can happen. So what then? Wow.
Also, working in software, you know what security practices means in most companies. Which I mean, if you don't work in software, you have probably never seen it, right? But I mean, like you don't need too many years where you're like, okay, so this is just production access. Here we go. Be careful. Yeah. But yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah, you don't need that on the Slack channel. So come and
you can come. It's still safe to be there without supplying too many things. So one thing we talked about tools last week, and it's funny because last week after the podcast, I implemented a feature in StaticBackend. Basically, I needed to send email with attachment and things like that, and I have this small interface that allows me to do like dependency injection and whatnot. When you are in production, you can use SES services and whatnot. And on development, I had an implementation that was basically just printing the email to the terminal. And now I wanted to test, and I finally use MailPit. So yeah, that is so nice. I'm wondering, what was that the tool that you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so you are reading your email with that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought it was like a developer tool to capture, because now my system, let's say I've created a test in Go, and basically I'm just sending the email to this local host thing. It's deployed on Docker. It's very nice. It's capturing the email, and now I have a web interface. Or better yet, for your test, you have this API, a JSON API that you can just pull the last email that was sent, and you can inspect that from the test point of view.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I have seen it, and when you mentioned it, I did not click. But yeah, it's something I wanted to use. But I'm wondering, is it meant to be used in the situation that you are using it? Because now you were telling me that you were looking at your production email and whatnot. This is very different than what I thought it was.
Maybe I misspoke then. I know it is only development I use MailPit for.
Okay.
Yeah. So it ships with Anduril in the way, so you have a nice way to actually look your emails. But no, I don't use it for any production stuff.
Okay. No. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I misunderstood. Okay, so that is strange, because when I installed it, I said, is this the tool that Morten was talking about? And I was not sure. So that is very nice, to be frank.
Yeah, it's really, and it's like the successor to something called Mailhawk that is no longer active. I think it's and also again just being a single binary that you can run, or a Docker image you can run. They do some basic, what's it called, spamminess? No, spam testing, checks for you. So it works really, really well. And I typically send an HTML version and a text version, so it's nice to be able to see both of them. It's a really good tool.
Yeah, totally. Very nice. And on a different topic, I saw this last week that Heroku was kind of, it was not very clear, but everyone is telling that they are basically shelving the product in a sense. So they say that SalesForce said that they are kind of turning this into a maintenance mode, or just applying security and whatnot. They will continue to support, and but basically what they say is that there will not be any kind of feature development or any new addition to the tool. So a lot. After that, I started to hear a lot about that, and a couple of days after that, it was, I'm talking about my social network feed. People started to say, "Oh, you know what? I just moved. I'm now on AWS or whatever." Render.com seems to have the best approach. They had maybe it's still there. I don't know, but they had this banner on top and saying, "You know what? You can move your Heroku without any downtime," or something like that, because Render is very, very similar to Heroku in a sense. So I'm pretty sure they were kind of happy to hear that. So I missed it, but I've seen it very, very quickly on everywhere. It's a major news in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny to see all the providers just going out and migrate to us. It's also a lot of DigitalOcean providing like migration guides over to them from DigitalOcean. But it is, I mean, it's kind of what, like, I don't know. I mean, they did put maintenance mode, and also maybe people are scared of the fact that software can be done. I mean, that maybe also be the thing, like they're feature complete, and this is like just a. It didn't sound like that. Maybe that's how they look at it. I don't know.
It's possible that it's that, but on their press release, they are clearly mentioning, as a decision from our stakeholder and whatnot, and they are mentioning their new AI thing on SalesForce. So it really seems like when you are reading under the, inside the line, I don't know how to say that in English, but when you are, kind of trying to understand what they are saying, it's basically, we from now on, we are putting all our efforts into this new AI things regarding the Salesforce line of product. For me, it was very strange. I did not really knew why exactly Salesforce acquired Heroku, and it just makes no sense because from my very, very limited knowledge of Heroku, when you think about that, I believe it's safe to say that they were not having a lot of big organization there. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't know, but from what I can understand or at least see from the outside, it seems to me, first of all, they had all the Ruby on Rails developers since the beginning. But after that, it was mainly SaaS. Could be kind of decently sized software as a service companies, but the big org, I'm not sure they were there. So I'm not sure what was the play exactly for Salesforce, because they are focusing on bigger organizations. So it was kind of doomed to success because they released some kind of products during their acquisition time. That one was you were able to sync the Salesforce contact in a Postgres database on Heroku, for example. That is all good, but you still need to ensure that your customers, or at least the new clients that you want to get, are using Salesforce. And from my very, very limited point of view, that was two completely different target products. I mean, that was a little bit strange as a move.
Yeah, that's actually true. I never thought about it, but when you're talking about it, I remember one of my first jobs, we used Heroku. Again, I was also a Rails startup, and yeah, it's right. It's right. Like enterprise, I wouldn't expect them to be on Rails. No, sorry, not on Rails, on Heroku, right? They're probably already on like AWS or GCP instead. So it's true. It is a weird move, but they also cut everything from the beginning, right? It's like no more free plans, cutting everything down, slim it. I don't know what the move was. Maybe they build on top of it with the new AI stuff, which is, I don't know, it's scary. It's just an AI platform and a deployment platform. I don't know. Yeah. It's right.
Yeah, I don't know, to be frank. And I'm wondering also. I know that. Well, first of all, if you take Basecamp, which moved from the cloud recently, maybe it's a couple of years back. At some point, they were pretty loud about it. And whenever DHH is doing something, a lot of Rails developers, do that, and they release this camel or camal, I don't know how to say it, kind of tool to help Rails developers, deploy to bare metal in a sense, very, very easily from the command line. So I'm wondering, because I have to guess that the majority of developers there were using Rails. Maybe not like, I don't know, maybe not like 70%, but probably in the 30-40%. I would guess. Let's say 35 could be a good number. And now I'm wondering if that could have played a little bit in a sense, because the HH is so how can I say that? When he does something, there's a lot of people that need, that wants to do the same, which is fine. I mean, this is not a problem. But and to be frank, the tool seems to be good. I've seen a couple of video of the tool and whatnot, and it's true that when you don't want to manage a server, this things, this small helper really helps. Personally, yeah. I really love to maintain servers and whatnot, but there's a lot of developers that don't want to do that. And the platform as a service, as we know them, I don't know. It seems to there's a small shift currently. It seems.
Yeah, he's very passionate whenever he finds new stuff. But it's also if you read their book, what's it called? Shape Up, is that the book?
Yeah.
I think it is, right? Where he's like, pick a battle with someone bigger than you, and that's what they've been doing for 20, 30 years now. But it's interesting with the whole, like he also adopted Docker very fiercely. He got into that, and then Kamal came, and then he also got into Linux and all. So
yeah,
he really like. He's really shifted. Like when he likes something, he really shifted. I also tried out his Omachi OS, which is also cool. But yeah, maybe they are switching. But I think with Kamal, it's only the deployments that you get, right? You don't get actual server management. You will still need to keep it up to date and security and all of that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe I'm actually completely wrong here.
No, I think you're right. But my point was mainly that since Basecamp decided to say, you know what, the cloud is very pricey. We are going to go bare metal, and now they release that tool. I mean, clearly they want people to do the same thing and things like that. Then it's funny that you are mentioning Linux and whatnot, because I remember DHH saying a lot of things, maybe not against Linux, but nowadays he is, oh, you know what, you should use Linux as a developer, but. Hey man, we are saying that since 30 years. Now it's really cool. It's really nice that now you finally arrived at this. But come on, I mean, yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. Like you always like when he comes with a new opinion, like give it give it a minute and then see, because he really does come out passionate. And I mean, that's also what I think is great about him and 37 Signals, right? They are really passionate about what they do, and
yeah,
they try to explore. At least I think that's very cool from a company who's been doing software for so many years, that they are not afraid of exploring new paths, which I think is very healthy. Of course, this whole rant around deploying stuff yourself, I think from vast majority of companies that is not true. I mean, who he did no. We save $5 million. Yeah, okay, but the fact that you could spend $5 million on cloud says something about your scale, right? I maybe, like I create a company, let's say I make $50,000 a month with my company. I cannot run my own servers. At least that's probably not a good use of my time. I probably have the money, right, to buy some server racks and everything, but I mean, either do serverless, or as what I do more is rent some VPSs and then manage those VPSs, right? Chuck in a load balancer in front, and then you're good for a long time. So yeah, the narrative is always super black and white and full on, but it was an impressive switch, right? That must also have been a lot of engineering to because I thought like it was petabytes of data they had to move out of S3 and maintain themselves. So it's also very cool to see how they take those experiences and turn them into tools like Camel. Not directly, but like the deployment they do themselves is probably very similar to or close to what Camel does. I think he talked about that before. So it's nice to see that the tooling is also being provided to people in a open source format, and that's also like with DSH and his new license. I don't know if you see his OSASI license.
Oh no,
he also picked a fight with the open source community because open source means open source. It means here's the thing, you do whatever you want, like you do you, right? And what OSASI does is source available. Like here is the code, look at it, run it yourself. You cannot use it commercially, right? And for some reason, he just picked a fight about that, where it feels like, hey, this is not open source, this is source available. And then he turned that into a fight as well. And like, why?
Yeah.
It's a funny approach, but it seems to work, right? He creates a lot of hype around their releases.
Oh yeah, totally. I think even though it kind of when I hear him talk about Linux myself, it's like ugh, but I'm happy. I'm happy he's doing that because it will bring more people to Linux, and that's always good.
If you are Linux curious, I can highly recommend PopOS. I think to listeners in general, if listeners want to get into Linux, PopOS is a really good place to start. Gives you a lot out of the box. It works well with NVIDIA GPUs. It has built-in window manager. So if you don't want to go down the Arch route, which is also it's gotten easier. Like Arch install is definitely an easier experience than what it used to be.
I ran Arch during, I think it was like 2 or 3 years, and at some point my system broke completely. After that, I said, screw that, man. I'm going with the good old Debian. Yeah. And that machine is still running beside me. Unfortunately, it's not my daily driver anymore because of accessibility, but it's still there. I'm still running a lot of things out of this machine. Pretty solid. It's impressive. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but PopOS is beautiful as well, right? It's nice looking.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. And they did a complete rewrite because it was always based on Ubuntu, and now I get into the gist of Linux that I don't really care too much about, so I'm not really that well versed, but something around GNOME or something, I can't really remember, but they did a complete rewrite of their...
Was it Wayland? Because it was using the new video driver instead of X11?
It might be. Cosmic, the new one, is on Wayland, I believe. And you can still go back to X11 if you want to. Okay. I can't remember the naming. Is it the disk? No, it doesn't matter. I can't remember. They did a complete rewrite from the bottom up, and they created Cosmic, which gives you theming abilities also. So you can apply color themes to your entire environment. It looks great. You have a lot of configs available. For me, the big plus is that it comes with the window manager and also comes with a sane desktop environment. I used to run i3, which is also great.
Yeah.
But there's just certain apps that I never really got working well with i3. Like whenever I had to do a Zoom call, it was weird, and I don't know. It's nice to have the tiling window manager running and then being able to switch over to like a quote unquote normal desktop experience.
That's interesting. I was not aware that we could do that. I was running i3 as well. I missed that setup a lot. I was using in tab mode as well, so everything was full screen for me. I was not using a screen reader back then, but it was so quick. I mean, it was...
Yeah, it's really snappy. It's also like Omachi uses Hyperland, which is also... It is faster. It's faster than what you get on PopOS on average, I think. But then again, I just... Sometimes Arch, I feel like it's... for me, at least, that was younger Morten's game. He would love it. I want to get stuff done, and I don't want to spend half a day fixing stuff. If it breaks, I just want to be in control of my own computer, as I am with Linux. But I also don't want to be dealing with Bluetooth issues or updating stuff, or like also my recording environment, editing environment is on Pop! OS. So I have OBS running great. I have DaVinci Resolve running great. Would it run better on Mac? Yeah, it would. But then I'm also forced into whatever Tim Cook wants me to do, right? So I think it's a really good middle ground. You can do some theming. You can get the window manager. You have folders and desktop like apps and everything. It's a really impressive release of what they've done. And it's always funny because people were complaining on Reddit about the Cosmic release, saying this is not a release and this is not ready. Whereas but they also did something that people have not done for many years. Like it's a complete write-up from scratch. And it is very stable. I've been running it since alpha. Yes, sometimes there is some issues, but the fact that I could run an alpha as my daily driver while they were developing it was super, super cool. So super stable now, I think. Still some kinks to work out. I have some memory leakage issues with NVIDIA, but I mean, it's also the first release of it. It's gonna be better and better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you play any video games?
No.
Okay.
And I want to, but I have there's this game called Manor Lords, which is like a medieval city builder, and I love those type of games. It's like Civilization for me.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same thing when I need to get stuff done, and I also need to spend time with my wife and friends. And if I just start up Civilization, in 5 minutes, 5 hours has passed. I get so addicted to it, so I don't really do it anymore. I typically jump on I have a PlayStation, do a little bit of gaming there once in a while, but I should be able to run most games now on Pop! OS because they have the Proton something.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
That
Steam or Valve has done amazing work there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a few games that I'm like, once I get some of my projects more finished, I will I will install them and start running them. But I think for now I have left it out.
Nice.
Yeah, but I mean the fact that you can game on Linux now is also really cool to see.
Yeah, it's getting there, especially with everything that is going on with Windows at the moment and the push of AI in the UI, and nobody wants that. And there's a lot of things that seems to be happening with Windows 11 that people, they are basically pushing people over to Linux themselves. Yeah. This is interesting to see.
It's the year of the Linux desktop. It finally came.
now that DHH is preaching that, and I mean,
we get it finally here.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, so let's switch a little bit to the main topic. So I wanted to talk a little bit about observability and what you are doing with that, what I'm doing with that, and things like that. So, first of all, I've seen that in your project you're using a library. I'm not using anything in StaticBackend. This is where I am at the moment. I'm deciding what I am going to use and whatnot. So, well, my first question is: did you took a lot of times to decide how you wanted to add that to your project?
I mean, it's something I played around with for a long time and explored in different other projects or client projects I've done. And I always kind of just defaulted to OpenTelemetry because it's a thing I've been following for quite a long time now, and most of their Go stuff is in stable. I can't remember if their logging package is still in beta, but it's basically what I always used in projects. So I'm actually not super aware of other.
Right. No, but that's the standard, right? It's
that's the standard, right?
The suggested way to do that. My first issue with adding tracing to my system is that I don't want to trace all the requests. That is not really something that I would like to do, because let's say that you are starting to put some tracing in all the requests. I mean, this is a lot of allocation. This is a lot of things that needs to happen in addition to your normal code. So are you first of all, are you tracing all the requests that happens in your system? And if not, then why, what requests are you picking? What's strategy are you taking?
Right now, it's all requests gets a trace ID.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not all of them that are, what's it called? What's the right word? Telemerized.
So you're not sending all of them to your system that will log them in a sense.
No, I mean it's more because if you work with the telemetry package, you can dig down almost as much as you want, and I don't do that for most requests. That's mainly for like billing stuff or sign up stuff, where I will go through the entire chain and add observability and traces and do spans and all of those kind of elements. But all requests are part of this package, right? So they do at least get a trace ID. And then I can't remember the sampling rate I do. Also, I think for my projects, I don't have sufficient volume that this is going to be an issue.
So you're picking a certain percentage of the requests. It's already like that.
Yeah.
Basically random requests, and you say, you know what, I want to pick, 2% of my requests or something like that.
I am actually now I'm going to have to check because I can't remember. Because this is also, I think I should preface this with I used to use a lot of the Grafana stack for my observability. And maybe they have done better jobs lately since I checked the last time, but the documentation has always been interesting. I don't know if that's the right word. It takes some time to set up, and then you have a lot of stuff that you don't need. But when I did that, I just self-hosted a Grafana dashboard. I self-hosted the ingesters. Is that the right word? Ingesters, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, Grafana, because then they had some version and now some tool, and then you have to use the new tool, which is Alloy, I believe, and I don't know. I don't know. So it's basically I'm working on a new setup for this.
Okay, interesting.
There's building. I hinted towards it. I'm building this SaaS project for self-hosting servers and application where I'm gonna be exploring a new telemetry setup where I wanna be using. It's a ClickHouse. I believe it's ClickHouse to store the data. So the whole idea is that whenever you create a server, you get store the server's metrics, which is just some basic from Node Exporter to have an idea of like, are your server healthy or not? And then create a server setup that uses ClickHouse or cluster of ClickHouses, whatever, and ingest all the telemetry data there. I haven't fully deployed it yet, so I don't really know if it's something that is worth exploring, but at least that's kind of my hypothesis, that this is probably going to be good enough for at least my use cases and also probably other people's use cases. Again, it depends on the volume you have, right? If you have a ton of volume, just go with Datadog and pay the Datadog fee. I don't know. I'm going a little bit off track here, but that is like kind of the main approach I'm taking right now.
Yeah. It's not like I have a lot of volume or whatnot. It's just that at the moment it's basically just logging for me, and I feel like I'm ready to go one step above, which is implementing some starting point for tracing and whatnot. So I was starting to try to decide my strategy. So so far it's either, well, I will start the tracing if there's any kind of HTTP headers in the request, or I will trace everything, and just at the end, they call that the tail. I don't know. I don't know what to call that. But let's say that there's a 500 errors at the end, and this is what you will get sent to your telemetry server and whatnot. I don't know the words exactly. To be frank, it's all something I'm just getting into. So basically, like I was saying, I'm basically building a smaller application, but I feel like it's kind of important to have those at least, and I regret that now, because after the facts is harder to add than having that from having good telemetry from the beginning of the project.
It's also whenever you have an issue and you don't know, like it's just the fact that if you have metrics and you have trace data, it's just so much easier to dig into what's happening on your application, because in my framework I also set up for the database layer, so you can actually also connect it a trace with a set of queries that happens in the database layer, which is also really nice of tracking it when you start to have a lot of data
slowing
going
down and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can basically grab the SQL query and try to optimize it. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, you will have like an idea of execution time, and is it called a waterfall graph? I can't really remember, but you will see like the
entire path. Yeah.
And basically the setup was what one of my latest clients, where the guy who configured it all also used Grafana to set it up, and they were dealing with a lot of events simply from the fact that they were doing a lot of they were basically doing Google Sheets and AI. So there was a lot of things that needed to go through, and they also just self-hosted the Grafana stack, and it seemed to work fine. So you get like the entire layer, but the thing is just the UI part that I mainly am exploring now, because I think the OpenTelemetry setup is really, really nice, and if you just put what's it called, Prometheus and Node Exporter on your VPS, then you are, in terms of metrics, you are quite good. And then you need something that can ingest OpenTelemetry data, which I think there's a Go one you can just run. So that I think is fine. It's just the UI part. I think that's often a little bit tricky, because that can be quite complex. There is from ClickHouse a new UI that also looks interesting, that I'm considering playing around with to be able to better query, because the whole thing about looking up your logs, for example, with the Grafana stack, has never really, at least to my knowledge, not been good. Like you couldn't search your logs, which is a big.
Whoa. Okay.
I mean, you can. Maybe I'm speaking out of my ass here. I'm not.
Well,
really...
I was looking at Honeycomb myself, which is another viewer, I guess, and that one seems to be nice to search. But I was in the impression that was a basic functionality, because let's face it, when something is happening, you need to search something. You need to start by that. You don't always have the trace ID to say, oh, you know what, this request or this event that started it all, this is the culprit. I need to debug that. You often don't really know this ID, right?
No, I mean it. I think my experience was that it's probably possible, but not easy. I don't think they do like a log indexing in the same way that you get with Honeycomb.
Okay.
So you can probably still kind of get search working, but I don't think it's the same way where you can actually query it and look for all these kind of things. It is probably more around, at least how I've always used it, is get the trace ID or get the span ID, and then you get the associated logs with that trace ID, which is fine sometimes, but again, as you say, sometimes you need to search for certain elements.
Certain event, or at least an error, or things like that. So what is your use case usually? So I guess that you are you using slog or slug from to do the login yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Full on.
So I was using log or Rust before, and now I think I would like to switch, but again, this is another thing that I would have loved if Slug would have been there in the Go ecosystem since the beginning, because now I'm not even sure that I want to change, but there's not much reason to change, but just to remove one dependencies is nice. I know that it's not really observability, it's just the logging part I'm talking about, but I would guess that everything start there. You might see something in your log, and now probably the trace ID is there. If there's an error, at least you can start from that. But it's not always the situation.
No, I mean, Slug is great. Is I think is awesome. Also, like as much as possible, staying in the standard library is how I try to do it. And it has really good integration. I'm also using Echo for the. I don't know is Echo a router or is it a web frame? I'm not even sure anymore.
Yeah, but I don't know how to define it.
No, but it works well with Echo.
But wait. What was the decision behind choosing Echo? Was it because when you started the project, the new router functionality that we have now in Go was not there? For example, extracting parameters from the URL and whatnot. So was that the main reason?
No, it was months of hard research. No, it was basically what I used from the beginning, I think. So I just always been familiar with Echo.
Okay.
I can't remember. There's not really any justifiable reason I can remember, because I believe in the beginning I was looking at I was actually using Gorilla when I started building web applications in Go.
Yeah.
And then that was unmaintained, and then I looked at Fiber and Echo, and I can't remember why I didn't like Fiber, so I went with Echo. And then I've been using Echo for, I don't know, 5 years or something now. 4 years, I can't remember. So it's kind of like I use what you know kind of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's true that you get the standard library does more now. I'm actually in one of my projects, I'm building a small API to run on servers where I'm doing this purely in standard library just to see how it feels and how it works, right? But I think for these bigger ones, especially when it's more frameworky, as I do with Andoodle, it's very nice to have some of the stuff being taken away and taken care of, even though it's maybe not incredibly.
So what it brings you, a couple of middlewares, I would expect, like.
Yeah.
Because the standard library is kind of crazy these days. So I'm wondering, because I was also using Gorilla at first. After that, I kind of dabble a little bit with Chi, and quickly just dropped everything and just went even when the standard library was not able to extract parameters, and there was a lot of things. You were supposed to handle the HTTP verb yourself, and all of that. I don't know. It was not really distracting me at some point.
No, I will have to rewrite a big project for web with the standard library for me to really know. To be honest with you,
yeah.
Because now I'm thinking of it, I can't really answer your question.
Yeah, I understand what you say. Yeah,
because it's one of those, like, I know it's there. I've looked a little bit at it. I haven't actually used it enough, because I'm sure you're right. It's not that I don't think that it could probably replace it, right? It's also just this is like, especially when you look at the framework, this is just built so much around Echo as a routing engine that it would require a version 2 to switch to it. So
yeah,
which might be relevant in the future. I'm definitely not against ripping out stuff for better. I think because the main thing I'm getting now that you don't think you get with the standard version is that you can define it with. You have to define the routes and the methods in a string, right? You have to do like what get and then the route in one string, which I will probably want to. I like to abstract that away. I think that's maybe a little bit too loose for my taste, but it's such a minor thing that you can always build something around that to fix it or fix it, change it. I know.
So it's not a string when you're defining a route in Echo?
I mean, with the V5, you do like an add route, and then they have an echo route, which is now a struct, and then you specify like it's just a struct that has method, path name, handler, middlewares, which you just pass the method from the what is called HTTP packet from the standard library.
Mm-hmm.
I built a routes package for the framework, so all the routes are typed. So you pass that, you pass the name, you pass the handler. But
okay.
I don't actually. I think you have a good point. I don't think it's that much you get anymore. Maybe.
Well, it's already built like that. I mean, that's the same thing from what I'm saying about the tracing. Log us is all implemented and it's there. It's everywhere. And but again, I mean, I feel like the more I can remove dependencies, the better the project will survive the long term.
Yeah. So, definitely. There's also what I'm doing in the model layer of the framework is, of course, I'm building around the SQLC, which I'm using the PDX package for, which have their own implementation of his PD types. So I'm trying to contain all of those types to the model layer, so everything else uses just the standard types. So trying to do some conversion there, which maybe not really necessary, but I just only having a type that is from the standard library in general, I think is really, really nice. Because it is just, it's maintained.
So you're mentioning, is it about the null columns? So you are with you have like SQL.null int, for example, or null string. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. But also it has a bunch of types that he needs to have, or the library needs to have, right, to handle the layers between Go and in my case, Postgres.
Okay, so it's not using a float 64, for example, if there's a decimal on the database.
Not necessarily, and that's the thing, right? So if I jump in and do, I can't even remember if I have any, but yeah, they do use standard library types, but as soon as you get into something that's maybe where you provide like a not null, they will map it to. Like if you do, I don't know, deployment ID integer not null, if they will just use int32. But if you use something like, say, created that with a timestamp with time zone or something like that, they will use their own type. So that's PG type timestamps, for example.
Yeah.
If they do, so again with let's say you have a deployment ID in my case here that is nullable, then they will use like a PG type so they can handle the null part, so the value and if it's valid and those kind of things. So I just try to contain those to one layer of the application, so they're not everywhere, so that everything else is in the standard library as much as possible. Yeah. It was a long way of saying I agree with you.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is mostly where I am, regarding the observability as well. So I would have liked to add that at first, and now I'm at a crossroad where I think I would like to have that. But yeah, again, it's still like it adds a lot of complexity. To be frank, it's not as easy as I would expect.
No, it does take a lot, and I've spent a lot of time on it some time ago, which is unfortunate that I didn't do it now, so I could talk more about it, because now I can't really remember a lot of the decisions. But I think it's a huge. It is complex. There is a lot of moving parts that you need to be aware of and consider, and you can mostly not deal with it if you're ready to pay. If you go something like, I don't know how expensive Honeycomb is, but I know that Datadog can get you if you're not careful. The same. But then it's literally just setting up, the adding, or basically just adding the OpenTelemetry package, do a little bit of setup, and then give that to Datadog, and then you are.
Yeah, but I think I would like to have my own thing, but yeah, it's a separate thing. Will it be Grafana? I don't know yet, but yeah, I think. So where are you actually viewing those results yourself? So is it like a completely different server and whatnot? So how do you deploy the viewer of that thing?
For a long time, there was just Grafana. So Grafana, their web interface you can run yourself if you want. Just deploy it as a Docker image, set up your sources, and then set up your different metrics views, and then you get the data showcased. And I used to have some templates for it as well, so I could see memory usage, storage, how much storage there was left. I could also see number of requests, 200s versus 400s and 500s, those kind of things. But that was mainly just built in Grafana, which for most of my stuff is just too complex. I think it's if you are into graphs and data and statistics, Grafana must be your dream your dream product, because you can do so much and it's really complex. It can at least be really, really complex, right? So now, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, so that was just, so that's
okay.
what I've been doing, and also why I wanted to move away from it, because I think it's too complex. So that's also why I want to explore ClickHouse, because there is, I can't remember if it was the guys behind SQLC who created this, but there is like an SQLC like package for ClickHouse.
Okay.
So my kind of thesis that I want to test out is that if I put all the metrics and traces and logs in ClickHouse, then I can build my own web UI around this setup, right? And then use DataStar to just live update a graph or a statistic or those kind of things. And then for my use cases and for like how I like to do things, I think it's gonna be much more maintainable, but also much more.
It will be more custom to what you want to see. And I'm not really after graph myself. It's mainly trying to diagnose a request from everything that happens. And I'm talking about there might have been a lot of Go routines that started there. So I just want, like you were saying, and now I don't recall the name that you use, but just seeing a good trace of what happens with a request, especially if it failed, and especially if I am to have a distributed system at some point. Now I'm able to cross boundaries and now just pass this trace ID from one services to the other, and now I have a clear view of what is happening with this trace ID.
Yeah, a great resource on this topic is from a guy called Luca Palmieri, who wrote a book called Zero to Production, which is a Rust book. It is fantastic. He does a great job of, first of all, teaching you how to write a Rust application. And it's a Rust web application, which I now think is way overkill. but it is great because he has done a lot of this like heavy distributed systems in Rust. And he has a really good chapter around setting up telemetry, which is what I base most of my setup on as well.
Nice.
So Rust, he uses more, I believe, is more macros in his setup for how he telemerized his Rust application. But it's basically the same idea that you pick certain flows, certain request flows, whatever, add some spans to it, because I'm not gonna necessarily have any distributed system in the same sense. I might have multiple instances of my applications, but it's not like a bunch of microservices.
Yeah.
So basically the trace ID is just an entry point for me. Whereas I can see from your point of view, if you have multiple services, tracking that request across those things is also really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But that should be very feasible with open telemetry, and then
Yeah. This is what I'm looking for. I'm just I'm just not super clear yet on what and how, but yeah, it seems to, it's not that complex, but you still need to think a lot about what kind of data you want to see and how frequent you want to, the sample to be taken and whatnot, because
but also Honeycomb should be a really good product. Have played around with it a little bit, but not really used it a lot. I mainly use Grafana.
Right.
But Honeycomb should be really great. And I know I used to talk to this guy who did what did they do? It also doesn't matter. But they basically was a YC startup who worked with creating flame graphs, I believe. And got either they joined Grafana, they got bought by Grafana, but they did some really cool stuff. And they also had a lot of collaborations with Honeycomb. So I know from that guy that he was like, "Yeah, they're actually doing a really, really good job, right?" Yeah. So maybe Honeycomb is also a good option to explore in this case.
Yeah, I haven't started to look at anything. Maybe we should bring Matt Ryer to get some Grafana point of view.
That would be great, and also to get a jingle, when the guitar. I missed that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So anything? Any closing thoughts?
No, I don't think. Not on telemetry, at least. I think we probably covered that quite well. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I think it might be something we revisit at some point with a guest, and once I have implemented my setup and whatnot. So it's more exploring for me at the moment.
Yeah.
So that shows that I have not worked in project where that was a key part. So usually again the amount of volume is usually very low for me. So good old logging is pretty working at the moment. But yeah, it's something I need to check out at some point.
Yeah, there's also like in my first couple of jobs, a lot of them were on like GCP. GCP's Cloud Run, which just gives you all of this basically out of the box. You have to configure the telemetry and a bit of stuff, right? But they have nice logging interfaces you can search. So it's also in later projects I have started to work with it more and set it up. But I think it's become more normalized in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the people who worked on open telemetry was actually out saying like, okay, now people are actually thinking about it, which didn't used to be the case, where they were like, why do I need this?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think I think Elixir has something built in which is really nice. It's all there. You have a dashboard with you're seeing all your small pieces. It's funny because you talk about Rust. For me, Rust and Elixir was something that I wanted to jump into. For some reason, I have so many difficulties liking Rust, or at least giving me the kick in the pants to just build something with it myself. Yeah. That's why Gleam and Erlang, the Erlang ecosystem for me is also extremely interesting. If I were to be frank, I will say something crazy being on this podcast, but if I were in need to build a really distributed system, I don't think I would go with Go. I think I would prefer to go with Gleam probably and Elixir, Gleam and Erlang, built on the OTP, this all machinery that is there for you. but I don't know what it is with me and Rust. And I invited John Arundel a couple of times in here, and he started to build some Rust course and whatnot. And he wrote one book at least. And I kept saying, it's I don't know. I just can't. But I started Gleam, and I was like, wow, this language is my language. This I like it better than Go in terms of syntax, in terms of idea, but it's not super there yet, I would say. I don't know either what it is. No. I keep returning to Go for most of my development.
I think with the Rust thing, I think for vast majority of application is just bringing a jackhammer when you just need a little normal hammer, right?
Yeah.
Because I think my skills and my knowledge around computers and software has gained tremendously for me exploring Rust as a programming language, because you get lower level, and I think a lot of the people who write Rust are super, super talented people who do some crazy async, bare bones hardware programming stuff, right? That really requires some deep knowledge. So I think you can learn a lot, but I just got tired of, it felt like every time you had to write 50 lines of code to accept a little request or something, there would be one line in Go. And then I didn't really need the performance gains. I didn't really need I didn't need the extra security. The only damaged, not damaged, what's it called? Maybe this is a Danish saying, like you say your work damaged if you do a certain thing because of your work. I really love how you can express certain states in Rust through its type system.
Yeah.
So that you cannot get into a certain state.
Yeah.
Which is really, really nice. And there's this person who wrote an article called Pass. Well, no. Okay, I can't remember. I will share it in the Slack if I find it. But where he literally just like don't validate. Don't validate pass or something instead. So the validation is literally built into the logic of your types. So you will have an email type that cannot be an invalid type because it's, and that's great. I think it makes a lot of sense on paper, but if you start to do this in practice, it just creates so much extra work for you. Is it really worth that extra work compared to what you get for the applications? Like, do they really need it?
Yeah, for me, it's not really the type system because, like I said, I really like Gleam, and Gleam is a functional, type language, and it's basically very similar to what you can do in Rust, but maybe a little bit more interesting. For me, it's not really type. I came from I discovered functional programming with Elm in 2017, and this is where I really started to like this approach myself of building. For me, Rust is all like you said, and it's strange for me as well because I'm kind of fatigued sometimes to have the browser being the output of the program that I'm building, because I've been doing that for like 26 years now, 27 years. I always built web application in a sense. It was always like I said, the browser was the end result. And even though I did a lot of C at when I was learning my craft at first, I even have a course on assembly at first, but I missed that. But it's, I don't know, there's something with Rust that it's like I don't have the time to, or maybe what would be easier for me would be to have a job. So if I were to start at a place and they use Rust, and now I'm paid to, I don't know, to force myself to use the language, it's like compared to Gleam, I done that in my spare time. Like I was saying, in October, November, I did the exorcism, really fall in love with the language. Wow. But again, me being me and mostly building web application, I don't know. There's a lot of small things that I found difficult. But again, I mean, this is interesting. I still want to make sure that I'm writing a lot of code in a lot of different languages still.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think the another one I've been looking at was SIG, just because I wanted to, I don't know, explore something different.
Yeah, totally. If they can release the V1 at some point, I don't know where they are, but
no, it's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
This seems interesting to be honest. It seems simple. I love C myself. I can see myself writing some C even today, even with the crazy memory management and whatnot. But that's one thing that brought me to Go, actually, because it was so, in my view, it was so similar to C. When you start to look at some code at first, especially with the struct and whatnot, you say, when you are coming from a object-oriented world like I was from .NET, and you saw Go back then in 2014, it was like refreshing a little bit. But I don't have that with Rust. I don't. In terms of syntax, the unwrap and things like that, the question mark, and compared to the if error not equal nil in Go. I mean, there's a lot of nice small things, but it's not enough. It's not that. And I don't know what to build. I don't need anything built that would requires me to use Rust. So that's like you were saying, that's mainly one problem that I have as well.
Yeah. I think it's also it depends on where you go in your career, I think, because there's, for me, the reason why I just stick with Go now is because I'm just, it's more the product building part that I'm interested in. So I'm also like, that's all, because like for example with SIG, I was like, I could build this like little desktop application that could help me transcribe stuff and maybe do some video stuff. But then again, I'm like, I have other stuff too that I want to do more. And I think like 5 years ago, I would have just jumped on SIG to learn SIG. So there's also, I think you have these periods where like, I'm sure in like a couple of years, I'm probably going to be like, okay, now is the time for a new language to learn.
Yeah.
I don't know. It goes through waves.
Yeah, totally. But Go is really nice. But yeah. Okay, cool, Morten. So I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So talk next week.
Talk next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.